When you have a really good run of training, like I did during the annual leave, probably a month ago now, and you record everything and you kind of record how you felt, you record the numbers, and you have like a freakish period of training like I did, 16 days in a row of hitting 200 kilos in a row, which is at that time the best thing I've ever done in my training life. When you have a period like that and you document everything, you can always look back at that period and kind of pick apart certain aspects of it and study it, if you will, of how you got to that point. So, you look a week, 2, 3, 6 weeks back before that period and just kind of look at what led to it. During this period, one of the things I introduced was pin squats. Now, I was basically doing pin squats every single day during that run. I was experimenting with different heights. I was experimenting, doing it every other day, all this kind of stuff. I was kind of experimenting, and I was finding that what I was feeling was something really good. It was making me stronger. I wasn't expecting it to be that way. The first thought behind pin squats was I want to engage my anterior chain, if you will. I want to hit my quads, really. And before that, I was kind of experimenting with leg extensions and all sorts. Then I started doing pin squats and I started really getting stronger and the bar started moving really quick. And that's kind of how the 200 kilos times 1 every single day for 16 days in a row happened. It was kind of in combination with the annual leave, the fact that I was eating a lot and sleeping a lot and all those things. But definitely the pin squats was a key ingredient in that recipe. And then in recent times, in probably last week or two, I've had troubles with the pin squats because I've been getting these dreaded lower back pumps. And it was basically at the tail end of the 200 kilos for one run, I was starting getting that lower back kind of pump. And the lower back pump wasn't a pain. It was just debilitating in the sense that it was really wrecking my lower back like musculature, and it was really hard for me to stabilize. And then what I saw after that was that I was starting to get more butt wink and my mobility reduced and all those sorts of things. So in recent times, last probably week, I've been kind of diagnosing this problem as a weakness of the anterior core, specifically talking about the hip flexors. So rectus femoris, iliacus, and the psoas. So those 3 muscles are basically what flexes your hip. And so when you do pin squats and when you do rack pulls, that's another little thing that was causing me a lot of grief in my lower back. When you do these 2 exercises, you basically smash the living hell out of the hamstrings, glutes, and your erectors. And so those guys were getting a heap of attention, heaps of attention and, stimulation. And so I was kind of getting unbalanced with the anterior core. So I've kind of been flirting with this idea for the last week or so, kind of experimenting how it would feel. A few days ago, I went in, got a really bad back pump with rack pulls, and I thought I'm just exhausted. The following day, the same thing happened without the rack pulls. I was just doing squats. And so during that workout, I started to do leg raises, hanging leg raises, and my lower back pump disappeared. I ended up having a pretty good session that day. Today, I woke up, and all I had in mind was pin squats. I wanted to push the pin squats. But I had the idea in my mind, okay, if I do pin squats, I'm probably going to get lit up in the lower back again, and that's going to harm me negatively, if you will, with the squatting. So as soon as I walked in, I was like, all right, straight up, I'm going to do 5 sets of 10 of leg raises. And I did that. So I completely engorged the anterior chain with anterior core with blood. I put the hip flexors on the map. And then after that, I went into pin squats. Now, with pin squats, it felt really, really good. I got a little bit of a pump throughout the second and the second to last and the last set. I was doing 270 kilos for a set of 10, pretty high pins. And also I tried 320. I couldn't get that off the pins. So after the whole pin squat routine, I was feeling pretty good. I wasn't feeling like completely buggered by the lower back pump. So I thought, okay, I've done some progress here with these hanging leg raises. So after the pin squats, I did some more hanging leg raises. I ended up doing, I think, 3 sets of 10. So 3 sets of 10. And then I went into the squatting, and the squatting was feeling incredible. So I had the benefits of the pin squats, and also I had the benefits of the hanging leg raises in terms of addressing the lower back pump. So in a way, I've kind of worked out today that pin squats definitely can exist in my program very, very frequently, but I need to do these hanging leg raises. So like I said, in recent times, these damn pin squats were on my mind. I just couldn't bear going through the damn lower back pumps again. So now I've got a little bit of a buddy exercise that I can kind of plug in, sort of like, I want to say PRN. If you're in medicine, you'll understand this. It just basically means as needed. And also I can have a regular kind of fixture of these hanging leg raises throughout the program as well. So I'm thinking right now every other day to do the hanging leg raises. And then I can also do leg raises when I'm really in strife for whatever reason, my lower back starts to play out. I want to do pin squats more regularly. How regularly, I'm not sure. Like I did during that really good period, like the golden era of Ivan, those 16 days. I was hammering the hell out of the pin squats quite regularly. And one of the things that I started to leave out during that run, and I can see that in the book, in my log, training log, is that I started leaving out the seated psoas curls. I call them psoas curls. It's just knee raises with a dumbbell on your knee. So I started leaving them out, and as that happened, I started getting the lower back pumps. Now at that time, I didn't connect the dots. I simply didn't connect the dots that the psoas was related to the lower back pumps. Now, after a bit of trial and error, a bit of experimentation, I see that you cannot have pin squats without direct hip flexor work. You can do leg raises. You can do the seated leg curls. Now, seated leg curls don't have the same stimulation to the rectus abdominis and obliques. So I last did hanging leg raises, I reckon 3 days ago, and I was quite sore for 3 days in my abs. So if you still want to address your hip flexors every single day to a certain extent, just to kind of activate before you do your pin squats or before you do your squats or rack pulls, you can still do your seated psoas curls, and that won't engage, the abs and the obliques. So that's kind of a workaround for that. Judging by the title of this video, you can see that I hit 210 for 1. So after everything that I've just said so far, I kind of have the key ingredients of a really good workout. Pin squats, I swear by them, and a lot of you guys also swear by them, and I've had lots and lots of messages from a lot of you guys saying, thank you for the pin squats, man, it was a great idea, I hit a PR. So when I hit those type of things, I'm like, man, there's definitely something to this. Now, a lot of people have said lots of different things about the mechanism behind the pin squats working. I, for one, I get the research and I get what people that are smarter than me, they reckon, but I go by the anecdote more so than the science. The science can say whatever the hell it wants to say. When I try something and I have cause and effect, and I have like a direct effect, and I know I can repeat this every single day, I don't really care what the research says. I'm seeing on the ground benefits. I want to kind of say a bit of a story about my nursing career, but there's a lot of policies that happen up above on the 15th floor of the building by people who have not done a single shift down in emergency for 15, 20 years. And some of these policies are so out of the left field and are not effective, it frustrates me. So just that scenario there is similar to what's happening with research. I don't know what these researchers are researching, but I am on the ground floor here doing the pin squats, doing the squats and getting PRs, and a lot of people are experiencing the same thing. So there's something to these pin squats. I don't really care what the research says and what the policies up on the 15th floor are in terms of the emergency department. Whatever that thing says doesn't match up with my experience. So I always go back to my experience. It holds a lot more weight to me than any research that I'm going to read. A lot of you guys, including me, have said pin squats are good. And I can repeat pin squats every single day. They're not taxing, especially if you're doing it with such a small range of motion. And it just primes the living hell out of you for squats. The only drawback that I had was these damn back pumps. And now I've sorted these back pumps up with these leg raises and the psoas curls. So now I have a freaking dream team scenario here where I can get the pin squats to do exactly what I need them to do for the squats. And I can get the leg curls to do exactly what I need them to do for the pin squats. It's just like 1, 2, 3, bang, dream team, let's go. 210, moved really well today. I was confident. I was strong under the bar. 180, 200, 210, they all kind of moved well, and that's why I kept adding weight. After that, I did 180 for a triple. I wanted to do more, but I was kind of mindful of the work that I did during this session, and I thought I'm going to come back tomorrow and do some more work. I don't want to overreach too much. I'm always kind of mindful of these really good days that I kind of have, because I'm like, I feel like I want to do a lot more work, but I have to remember that I'm coming back tomorrow for some more work, more love. So Tomorrow I'm planning to do some front squats. And I'm just right now actually thinking about what am I going to do with the anterior core. I'm probably going to be sore for the next few days because I ended up I did 5 before the workout today. I did 3 during the workout, and I did another set of 5. So I did 13 sets of 10 hanging leg raises. So that's a lot of attention to the anterior core. And I've walked out and my hips feel good, my lower back feels good, everything feels good. So it just kind of goes to show that the body is just one big puzzle that needs to be sorted, and it's kind of like a seesaw kind of game where you need to address both sides of the seesaw, because if you start stressing one side too much, it throws things off. It throws the center of the joint off. You start getting pains and strains and all sorts of things. If you're doing something like me, squatting every single day, that's a whole lot of attention on one side of the joint. You need to do something to oppose that. The hanging leg raises seem to be really good for that. And then when you throw in stuff like pin squats, that's more glute work and even less psoas work. So it's kind of just like a balancing act. But today is basically the second time I've hit 210. I think it's been like, I want to say 3 weeks. I want to say 3 weeks since the last time I hit 210, which was the PR. And so basically you can see what's happening here. I hit the PR, and then I had kind of like a bit of a spinning out moment in terms of my programming, in terms of my understanding what was happening on the ground. And it took me a little while to work out exactly why these lower back pumps were doing what they were doing. And now I'm kind of on the end of that 3-week period, and I've kind of worked out that I need to do some leg raises or psoas work or anterior core work, for me to kind of continue pushing these pin squats. And the pin squats, for me, they're doing the most to me and pushing my squats forward. One of the subscribers came up to me, had a chat to me, and I was telling him this is the same thing. I said, look, man, if you're going to push your squats hard, you have to address the other side. You absolutely have to. It's one of those things. It's, for somebody like me that likes to squat every day, I wish the squatting would do everything that I need for squatting. Psoas work, leg raises, that's not sexy work, man. That's not nowhere near the fun of putting 210 kilos on the bar. It's nowhere near it. All I want to do is pin squats and squats, but there needs to be some sort of almost like prehab work. It's not really prehab, but just balancing out the joint. The pin squats, man, like I've said this many times before, these damn pin squats, man, like they do a bunch of things. I believe they do a bunch of things. But the one thing they do the most, I feel, is they just freaking address your psychology, man. You're not scared of these PR weights anymore, man. You're just not scared of them. That's what I was saying to the fella that I was chatting today. When you got 320 kilos on your back, I've done 340 with a really kind of high pin. When you feel that weight on your back, man, 210, 200, that's nothing. So when you unrack this weight, at least that element of the lift is out of the picture. You're not scared of the damn thing, man. It's resting on your shoulders like whatever, man. Like, let's just squat this thing down and deal with the actual lift that's the most kind of struggling, which is the mid portion. So here we go, 210 kilos. I was kind of right at the top, saying some words to myself, preparing myself for the lift, and then I went into it. Nice. I got my hips under the bar. I stayed pretty vertical, and I got it. The subscriber, the fella that I met today, he was recording on his phone. So I said to him, man, there was no way I was going to miss that, especially with your recording as well. But he was asking me, why the hell did you kind of, stay at the top kind of for so long? Why didn't you just kind of unrack, walk out and squat? And I said to him, man, a lot of this stuff for me is psychological, man. I know the first few times I failed 210. The moment I unrack that bar, there's something in my brain saying to me, this is crushing me, this is crushing me, this is crushing me. It's like an overwhelming feeling of fear. Like, it's like, damn, I can't squat this, man. Like, I can barely stand, with this weight. So what I've kind of started doing with these PR attempts or maximum weights is that when I walk it out, I just want to stand there for a good 5 seconds and just run some things through my head. And I said to him, the things that I say to myself are not very pleasant. I'm basically going to tell you what I tell myself. I just basically say some things that really upset me, or they really kind of remove the fear out of me. Now, the pin squats have removed the fear from the fact that the bar is not crushing me anymore. I can handle the weight. But then I kind of hit a button in my brain which kind of pisses me off. I usually say stuff like, you're nothing, you know, you're not strong. There's a whole bunch of profanities that I kind of say to myself that I don't want to basically say on the video, but I basically say to myself that I'm not good enough and I'm nothing. And it's kind of like intrinsic kind of a slap in the face or slap on the back or ammonia or whatever. I just say a few things to myself that I'm like, man, I'm going to die under this bar right now. Let's go. I'm willing to die under this bar. You know, and then I just kind of go in there with aggression, like controlled aggression, and I get it. That's kind of what I do to myself. But when I walk out and I go straight into it, I haven't kind of had a chance to kind of run these things through my head. Now, a lot of people will say, why don't you do that before you get under the bar? Well, when you get under the bar, you can say to yourself all sorts of fancy stories. You're not in the heat of the battle. When you put the bar on your back and you walk out, now we're talking. Now some of these words are, you know, heavier. You know what I mean? Like they're not just, you can't just flip any word around. You're in the heat of the battle. You got 210 on your back. Okay? It's hard to breathe. It's hard to think. It's hard to find words. And I feel like there's more venom behind those words when you actually got the weight on your back. But anyway, that's kind of how I do it. A lot of people do it, all sorts of different things. Some people like getting slapped in the face. Some people like getting kicked in the nuts before they go out and lift. I don't like that because I don't want painful stimuli. I want intrinsic psychological warfare to happen before I attack. That's kind of my style. A good day today, fellas. Let's see if I can do something similar tomorrow. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.